Welcome to my show. If you don't know, my name is Taylor, the host of my very own show, Talkin to Taylor. I am the executive film director here at Ant Media Productions. I'm here to bring you a talk show with random guests, topics, and tips. You'll catch me here every Thursday at 11 a.m. You'll be hearing how I balance my life as executive film director at the Brooklyn Cafe show, a full-time college student usually working 4 days a week, and an endurance runner training for the biggest race of my life. So join me, and we're gonna have fun laughing and talking together. Well, at least I'm gonna do some laughing and talking, so keep watching. Hello, and welcome back to Talkin to Taylor. So today, you probably guessed it, we're going to be talking more about marathon training. I wrote on here in my notes that this is basically a running show now, just because that's basically all I'm doing lately. So 10 days till the marathon, which is really weird. It felt like the marathon training was never going to end because it was 24 weeks. We're on week 23 right now. So it's really weird. It hasn't fully, I haven't fully processed it yet, and I'm really nervous for when I do fully process it, because the nerves are gonna fully hit and then my stomach is just gonna hurt really bad, and I don't know how I'm gonna just do it, but we'll get there when we get there. So today I have a special guest. He's not here, but I recorded an interview with him, and he is actually my training partner for the marathon. And I'll just get to it. It's quite a longish interview, but then after the interview, we're going to come back to me, and then I'm going to talk about all the things that my marathon training has taught me and how it's made me better. So enjoy this interview, and I hope you like it. Hello, I'm Taylor, and this is my friend Noah. Say hi.
Hey,
Noah Breadstick. So
not actually, but yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty close. So we're friends, right?
Yeah.
Good. We met from work, if you're wondering, and but we have a lot of the same interests, and one of those include running, which we just did together. We ran a race.
Come on, John, you got this. Number 11 coming in hot. Let's go, Ryan. And in first place is Noah. Right there.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, grab your trophy.
How did it go?
It was alright.
It was alright. Definitely not our best. We were looking for some PRs and we didn't find them, but it's okay because we've got more races ahead of us, including a marathon, which we will get to in a sec. So we'll start from the beginning. I feel like so.
Oh, you laughed so much.
How did you start running?
It started in middle school, and then I participated in track and cross country all throughout high school. So yeah, I just started at my school and then stuck with it, and now continued running out of high school. So yeah.
What made you, how did you hear about cross country?
I first heard about track. I went to a really small high school, and we only had a track team at the time, and then going into my sophomore year, I was actually part of the first team, part of our cross-country program, so I started it off there.
You started the cross-country team?
Yeah.
Wow, so inspiring.
One of the first people, yeah.
Wow. And now you're a coach. Well, the season just ended, but you were a coach of the cross-country team, the head coach, you said, right? Even though on my show, I thought you were assistant coach, but you're not. Head coach. After starting the cross country team, just like wow.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
But what made you want to be a coach?
At first, honestly, I don't even think I really wanted to. I just know I would enjoy it. But after I got into it, I definitely would say I would want to be a coach, just because I'm a runner, and that's what I did at my school. It like fitted really smoothly, and I just really enjoyed it.
We're back. I had to delete a bunch of stuff from my phone because I had too many videos. But the last question I asked, I think, was what inspired you to be a coach? I think you already answered that. And then next question I had was any running tips that you have?
Man.
We are now fueled by Denny's, so hopefully we're a little more energetic. Like, what gets you motivated to run?
That's a different question.
I'll ask that because the tips is a little too broad right now.
Can I answer both?
Sure.
Okay, alright, for tips, do I look at you, do I look at the camera? I'm gonna test it.
Whichever you feel.
For the tips, just always stretching. Definitely before it helps you get ready for the run that you're about to do. And also is also
You got this.
I got some. Also afterwards, just because it's a good way to help you recover. So stretching, and then just hydrating as well, so drinking water a good amount. And then what gets me motivated, just the end goal. So for instance, if we have a race the next day or in the coming week, that'll get me motivated.
Can you open your phone? Next question. What made you want to run marathon? Because we're running a marathon together.
I thought it was the storage.
There we go. We're running a marathon together, but he'll be way ahead of me. But we're training together, kind of. We don't do all of our runs together, but we let each other know. We did our 20 together. We've done a 2-hour run together. A few of our long runs we've done together. So, but what made you want to run a marathon with me?
So really, two main reasons. One is just being able to say that I ran a marathon. It's a big deal, especially at how young we are. And then two, I mean, you honestly just really convinced me. If I didn't have a running partner, it wouldn't have happened. So.
What were your thoughts when I was I forget how it came up, but I must have asked you hey, want to do a marathon? And or it was either that or I said that I was going to do a marathon and you were like, yo, I kind of want to do that. I forget which one.
My thoughts? I don't know. So at first I was just I thought you were a little crazy just because it's a lot, you know? And at first, I really thought you were just joking. But then as time went on, weeks and a couple months, you got serious and you're like, yeah, we should really do it. And you got the whole training plan. I was like, all right, yeah, let's do it.
That's simple.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wouldn't have been able, I probably wouldn't have kept, I don't know if I would have kept going if we weren't doing it together, so.
Yeah, that's another tip.
Yeah,
for
have a training
runners
partner.
out there, make sure runners or anything,
and
exercise.
I'm sure if we had because we don't really know that many people that run other than each other, so I'm sure if we had more of a community of running people, that would make it even easier. But at least if you have at least one person.
Yeah, you guys just got to hold each other accountable too.
Yeah, I've talked about this on my show, but we have a note that I made that I shared with Noah of our training plan, and it's 24 weeks long, which we're on week 21 or 22.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because we're almost done with it.
Are we
now.
really? 20? I didn't even think about that.
And there's 24 weeks total, which is so crazy. Every time I look at it, I'm just wow, it's almost the end.
Yeah.
How has marathon training been for you in your experience? Because we're doing it together, but my experience is different.
Yeah. It's been good. It's hard to do it every time, especially as the mileage increases, because now we're getting through that part of getting into the high mileage. This week we had to run 15 miles, and even though we did 20, it's still a challenge, but also a challenge of just getting it into your schedules. So that's been a little rough, just making time for it. But besides that, it's been pretty good, and just good to get those high mileage in and breaking those challenges and personal limits.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that we have been doing 15-mile runs or more for like the past like 2 months.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's
around
true.
that much, like average of like 15 miles every week for like the past month. And it's not easy. Like when we talk about it with people, that's one thing. Like we make it sound like, yeah, I ran 15 miles today, and people assume that because we say that it's so easy, but like they don't see us struggling. My favorite thing is when like you send me Snapchats, because like even though you like, you know, you're so much faster than me, so I assume that you do it with such ease. And then when you'll send me like at mile 10, you're like, oh gosh, I'm dying, like I don't know if I can finish. And like as much as I don't want you to be struggling, it also like helps me in certain ways, because I'm like, okay, it's not just me struggling, it's he's having a hard time too.
Yeah.
So that just goes along with the whole having a training partner. I don't know if you'll remember this, but do you remember what was your first race that you ever did?
Like cross country race, like 5K, or like something in track?
I was thinking 5K, because that was my first race, I think.
Yeah. So again, I started track in in middle school. I went to go do it in 7th grade, but it was really hard at the time. So then I went back 8th grade and then stuck with it again all throughout high school. And then I think going into my freshman year, maybe during my 8th grade year, I don't know, I started seeing a personal trainer, and he put on a 5K himself in his neighborhood where he lives. And again, he's a personal trainer, so a lot of his athletes were out there doing it, as well as people in the neighborhood. And that was the first 5K I ever ran. It was just around the neighborhood, and I actually ended up getting first in that one. And that was when I was running like 21 minutes.
Sounds like a familiar story.
And that was my first race ever. It wasn't like anything official really. He did have, you know, like the timing thing that we had today. He had that, which was like maybe the most official thing. He had some medals as well. But again, it was a really small group and really small event. Nothing like if you were to run a 5K with like, you know, that's sponsored by a group. But that was my first race ever. Yeah.
How old were you?
So like 13 or 14. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe even 12, but 13 or 14, I want to say.
Dang, what a good way to start off your running career.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Getting first place with like 21-minute 5K. Can't relate,
that was crazy.
My first 5K was
You were in like
6th
6th grade.
grade.
Yeah.
So I was 11. And I got like
insane.
29 something. And I remember my mom after was like, you could have run faster, you're not even tired. And I was like, okay. Do you have like, what are your ultimate goals with running, basically? What would be your like ultimate goal with running?
So one of them was definitely just running the marathon. Besides that, just continuing to get PRs, and then stay consistent with running. Just because after the marathon, I know we've talked about continuing running, but I don't know what I'm gonna do yet, so we'll see. But yeah, the marathon was one of my biggest goals, and be able to cross that off in December, on December 12th. And then the next one also though, is to do an Ironman. I'd really love to do that, which is not just running, but it does involve a lot of running, so that's one of them. And maybe one of the things that we see like all those crazy runners do on like TikTok or Instagram, people like running across America or like running 50 miles in a day, just crazy goals like that. But yeah.
Any Olympics in your future?
I've thought about it.
It's not out of the question.
No, not yet. Definitely not.
But yeah, I think that's pretty much all the questions I could think of. But any last words before? This is this is the only time I've had you on my show, but like, our marathon's coming up, so like, what are some of your final remarks about the marathon?
Final remarks would just be, it's been a great couple months training for it. Definitely very rewarding, and taught me a lot. And I know I'm going to learn a lot after doing the race itself, so just looking forward to it.
What's your biggest lesson that you've taken away from? Because I feel like I learned a lot from marathon training.
That I'm not old, but that I'm not as young or fit when I was running in high school. That I definitely got to take more time, specifically for me, just to stretch before and after, and as well as just trying to get better with planning, because that would help the whole process just tremendously. At least on my part.
I definitely learned a lot about eating, hydrating, stretching, time, how people say they don't have time, but if you really want it, that you will make time. And just that a lot of people will doubt it. Like, even though they don't really even know you, they're like, well, good luck with that. You're gonna run a marathon?
Yeah.
They just make it sound like it's not possible for you. I'm like, you don't even know me. Like, I could run 50 miles every day. You don't even know. And it's very annoying, but it's like, at the end of the day, we know we're gonna do it. 'Cause
Yep.
we got this.
You already know. Maybe we'll have to do another interview after the marathon.
Just like a little tiny post one. Yeah. Well, thanks for joining me for this episode.
Yeah, I'm happy I made it.
Yeah, finally. It's only been like a whole year that I've been waiting. I'm back. So, hope you enjoyed that interview. And thanks to Noah for wanting to do that interview. There's so much going on right now. But yeah, now I'm going to talk about real quick what the marathon has taught me and how it's made me better. It has made me better in many ways outside of running too. So I mean, I'll start with the most obvious. Like, obviously it made my times improve. It made me faster, which at the beginning of my training, it's funny looking at times that I thought were good at the beginning of my training versus what my times are now. And it just like, but it's very motivating seeing that, and it makes it easier to keep going. But another big perk of the marathon training was I lost weight. Part of that was also, I have talked about this many times, but I started a weight loss competition over the summer because I was at probably my highest weight that I've ever been. Like, I was barely exercising. I was eating whatever I wanted without caring, and it was really starting to show, and I just didn't like it at all. And so me and some people from work and my sister and one of my friends decided to do a weight loss competition, and it was just going to be for the summer, but then we pushed it to be till the end of the year. And I don't know if we're still doing it, to be honest. I don't know what's going on with that, but I am still, with marathon training, I have realized a lot about having to eat better. It kind of forced me to eat better because you can't really go on these super long runs eating like McDonald's or something. So, yeah, I learned a lot about nutrition and stuff, and it got me interested in nutrition, which I had never been that intrigued by nutrition before. Like, I thought it was almost lame in a way, which I think it's stupid to say that now, but I thought like being healthy is so lame, which I don't know why I thought that, but I don't know. But yeah, and now I'm actually interested in it. It makes me want to do it more. So if you want to eat better, get interested in it, and it makes it much easier. So yeah, it forced me to eat better and made me want to eat better. So I'm now in probably the best shape I've ever been in, including when I did like track and cross country in high school, because I go to the gym every once in a while and stuff, but it's mostly just running. But like, I'm able to go about 10, 12 miles without even really feeling it and without really having to do too much recovery, just because I'm in shape enough for it. Most people, if they ran that far, like, they would be, hobbling around for days because they're so sore. whereas I'm now past that point where I can run that far and barely be affected by it, which is super great. And like I said in my interview with Noah, it showed me how if you want it, you will do it. I used to tell myself that I didn't have time to run more than like a few days a week. And if you tell yourself that, of course you're not going to have time, because you're just convincing yourself like, well, I only have a few hours, so I'm not going to be able to do it. But then I would tell myself that, but then I would spend those 2 hours, on Instagram or TikTok or social media or something. And I would have, like, if I had just got off my butt and started the run, I would have had plenty of time to shower and stuff after too. So it's like I had time, I just wasn't wanting to use it in that way. So it showed me that if you really want it, you're gonna make time for it. I heard something kind of recently about time, and it was like, basically, time and money are two things that people always want more of. And if people always tell themselves, well, if I just had more time, if I just had more money. But in reality, if they actually had more time or more money, they would just waste it. So, yeah, like, you think that 24 hours isn't enough time, but if you were given 25 hours, you would probably just waste that other hour going on Instagram or doing something like that. So I try to think about that a lot, is that having more time wouldn't necessarily mean that I would use it wisely. So it's all about using your time wisely. Like, for the marathon training, I didn't think that I was capable of really doing morning runs and getting up early, because I absolutely hate getting up early, but it showed me that I am capable of getting up early even if I don't want to, and that's just utilizing your time more. If you go to sleep earlier and you wake up earlier, that is using your time more wisely and more efficiently, and that is going to help you with your marathon training because you're able to get your runs in more. It also boosted my confidence in a few different ways. So, like, obviously losing 20 pounds definitely helped my confidence, because I didn't really notice that I looked different. I didn't think that I looked different, because when you see yourself in the mirror every day, you think you look the same. But I was starting to get compliments from people, and people that I hadn't seen in a few months saw me and immediately were like, you look so much skinnier. And I was like, okay, you're just saying that. But then multiple people that I hadn't seen in a while were saying that. Like, a bunch of my friends that came back from college, I was hanging out with them, and their like relatives saw me and immediately like were like, you look so much skinnier, have you lost weight? And I'm like, actually, yeah. But yeah, so I didn't realize how much it showed until I saw a picture of myself from right before I started the weight loss competition in May, and I just looked so bad, in my opinion. I was wearing these certain pants and they just made me look really fat. And then I tried them on the other day and I looked so much better in them. So that definitely boosted my confidence, and my confidence in like my running times. It's a lot more, you get a lot more confidence in your running when your times are improving a lot. And the 5K that Noah and I ran, that I kind of showed a little video of me running at the end, it wasn't the time that I exactly wanted, but it was still a good time. And the 5K that I ran the day before Halloween, that 5K I ran even faster, and I did not think I could get anywhere close to that time. So before the 5K, I have videos of it too. I was telling Noah, like, yeah, my goal is to get in the 28s, but honestly, if I get under 30, I'll be happy. I just didn't think I was like good enough to run that fast of a 5K. And then I finished the 5K in 27 flat. So, which is pretty close to my overall personal record of 5K, which is 26:16. So now since running that, it boosted my confidence so much in my running and like 5Ks. And now I like really want to do more 5Ks. and try to actually beat my overall 5K time and get in like the 25s. So we'll see how that goes, but I'm using a lot of my money on races, but it's fine because it's one of my hobbies now. So yeah, it got me into racing again. I really missed the competition and the racing, and I still miss, the racing and competition in cross country specifically, and like the team and stuff. And I know I'll never get to go back to that. But 5K racing, like signing up for 5Ks is probably the closest I'll be able to get. So just running with a group of people rather than running by myself all the time is way more fun. And I learned how much weather affects your runs. I have lived in South Florida my entire life, where it is always 80 degrees outside, always humid. And I recently, in the past few months, started watching a lot of running channels. And a lot of these people don't live in Florida, and they are not used to 80-degree weather and humidity all the time. So if they have one day where it's normal Florida weather, they'll be like, I can't go on a run today, it's too hot out, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, if I had that mentality living here, I would never go on runs because it's always that weather, it's always that hot. So it just made me wonder how much my times could improve if, we actually had good weather here all the time. But yeah, like even recently my times have been improving, and the temperatures have been going down a little bit. So don't know if that is 100% the reason why my times have been getting better, but weather definitely helps. And I didn't really give myself enough credit before. I would just be like, oh, I had a bad day because I suck. But really, it was like 100 degrees out with humidity and the sun was beating down on me. So I shouldn't have been so hard on myself on certain runs. So yeah, weather I need to take more into consideration with like how my times are, and weather really affects your performance, especially on longer runs. And like I kind of talked about earlier, it kind of showed me what I'm capable of, especially after doing that 5K in 27 minutes. I did not think I could do that. And it made me become better friends with Noah, so that was a huge perk because we text all the time about marathon training and stuff like that. And I mean, other stuff too. We're friends outside of marathon training. But yeah, just huge thanks to him because I don't think I would have continued the marathon training without him because it's very hard to do by yourself. And even though we didn't do too much running just together, it made a world of a difference just to have someone to text and be like, yo, like this run sucked. And then he was like, yeah, it sucked for me too. And I was like, okay, like it's a lot easier knowing that someone else is suffering too. Or it was also motivating to tell him when my runs went well, and then he understands like how much that means to me, and he would be really supportive. So just like I said a little in the interview, having someone to train with is very important, so highly recommend. So yeah, and just hydration is really important. I wish I could say that I'm an expert at it, but I am not. I am constantly dehydrated, even though I should not be. But yeah, basically, if you want to do a marathon, it will teach you a lot. And if you really want to do it, you will make time for it. So, marathon in 10 days, so get ready. I'm very nervous, but I'm also excited, and I think I'm as ready as I'll ever be. So, thanks to Noah for being on my show. I don't think he's watching right now because he's at work, but he'll watch this later. So, hey Noah. And thanks to, my parents for always bringing me water on my really long runs. And we'll see how this goes. So, less than 2 weeks. Exciting. Scary. Don't know what I'm gonna do about a lot of things. Still figuring a lot of things out, like what I'm gonna eat during the race and before the race and after the race and everything. So I will hopefully see you guys next week. I do have exam week next week, so might have to do my show on a different day. But yeah, after that, the week after next week, I will have run my marathon, and I will be here with many updates. So thanks for coming to my basically running show of Talkin to Taylor. So thanks for bearing with me, and I'll possibly see you next Thursday. At 11 a.m., so make sure you don't miss out. I'm sure I'll have some new random topic that you will hopefully enjoy. Make sure you listen to my show as a podcast on Spotify. Also, if you want to find all my other shows, just go to YouTube and Facebook and look under 2020 Vision. I'm probably going to do something like go feed my turtles, so have a nice week, and I'll see you on Thursday. Bye!